what is peer-to-peer lending? So if anyone wants more information on this and I'm not going detailed enough, just send me a DM and I'll happily reach out to you because I love this subject. Peer-to-peer lending. Okay, so think of peer-to-peer lending as person-to-person lending. It's online lending. So if Joe here needs to borrow some cash, Joe could typically go to a bank. That would be the old-fashioned way. We still can do that, but that would be a conventional way of traditional way of borrowing money. Now there's something called peer-to-peer lending, where you've got Joe that needs to borrow money, and you may have a group of people that may consider lending Joe that money. And a platform will put those two people together. So it'll put Joe, who's the borrower, and it'll put Josh, who I've got here with me now, but Josh in touch with that borrower. Josh might be happy to lend Joe some money. And that's what a platform do. It puts these two people together. What the platform will do is we'll introduce them. Joe will have to write down or type in, maybe if it's a platform, what they want the money for. This is what I want the money for. This is how much I want. This is what I'm going to spend it on. So it will ask Joe what he wants or she wants the money to be spent on. They will then do a credit assessment. Is Joe trustworthy? Has Joe got a good credit score? Ways to improve your credit score, take a look at one of the videos that I have previously done. So they look at Joe's credit score and they do a credit assessment. Is this person trustworthy? Do they pay their bills? Do they pay their debts? Are they on top of their loans? Do they pay their credit cards off? Then that information will get fed to the lender, Josh. And Josh can make a decision. Yes, this person looks trustworthy. I'm happy to lend him or her money. Or Josh will say, you know what? I'm not sure. Joe hasn't paid some of their bills. If I am going to lend them the money, I'm going to put a bit of an interest rate. I'm going to put a higher interest rate on that because I'm not sure Joe's completely trustworthy. So that's what the platform does. It puts a borrower and a lender together, does a credit assessment, and it figures out how much interest the person should be paying back on this loan. If the person's super trustworthy, then that interest payment will be lower. If the person hasn't got a good credit score, hasn't got a good credit history, if they've missed payments in the past, that interest payment may well be higher. Think of it as a government bond. If you are lending your money to a safe and secure government, I'm smiling because define what one of those is these days, but if it was a government a bit more, a stable government like the UK or the US, you'd be very, very confident that the UK or the US was going to give you that money back, and you'd be happy with a lower interest rate in return. Or it might be a government that has typically not paid bills, not paid loans back in the past. I'm not going to mention any names. I'm sure you can think of a country like that. Then there'll be a higher interest rate on that because there's a higher chance of default. Other things peer-to-peer lending does, as I said, credit assessment, we'll do an investor's review, and then essentially it will manage the process. So if Josh is happy to lend money to Joe, it will manage that process. It will lend Joe the money, and it will make sure that it collects those interest-free payments back and gives them to Josh, handles any issues, handles the administration. I like peer-to-peer lending. Technology has made this process and is continuing to make this process very slick, very efficient. It will save time. Do I like peer-to-peer lending as an investment? Yeah, I do actually. I think it's a great way for somebody that has money to diversify their investment portfolio, to lend it for a rate of return. It's different, it's diversification. So yes, I like it. I like the tech. And I think this is something we're going to see a lot more in the future as people look to move away from traditional banking.